In order to use an affordable and durable labor-saving wrench, Pakistan cut the traditional wool chain. After simple processing in their small workshop, they can produce a large hexagonal socket wrench. The pile of discarded traditional wool chains in front of them is the raw material for their small workshop to produce sockets, because each section of the wool chain is linked together. In order to facilitate the processing of the wool chains separately, Fu first uses sheep ant cutting to process it. In order to divide a whole wool chain into sections, because the weight of the wool chain is too heavy. In order to facilitate transportation, Fu has to cut it into 5 sections to achieve the purpose of decomposing the compacted and accumulated wool chain. To create this large socket wrench, it is important to prevent the socket from cracking. Using this wool chain for pressurized forging can make the socket last longer, because air cannons are relatively scarce in Pakistan. This wrench is also a necessary tool for repairing electricity. The master used yang yeek to cut it skillfully. The head is directly broken. At this time, the wool chain cannot meet the processing requirements. In order to make the weight of each sleeve consistent, Fu first measures and marks the wool chain. The main purpose is to mark the length of material required for the sleeve. After marking the surface with a talcum pen, Fu's sheep ant will be cut in the center of the wool chain. The straight section of the wool chain can be completely removed. Under the premise that the overall appearance is straight, it can be directly stamped into a sleeve after heating. For the curved parts of the wool chain, they will be simply weighed and heated and shaped to become a cylinder with a uniform outer diameter. Some cylinders need to be uniformly thrown into the heating furnace. The cylinders that reach the temperature can be stamped because they use heavy oil for combustion and heating. With the support of high-power ancient wind turbines, the cylinders are also quickly heated to a red state. At this time, the master will use their high-end stamping machine to stamp out a hexagonal hole in the center, which determines the size of the sleeve. Under the skilled and fast operation of the master, the surface of these already formed fur sleeves needs to be processed by lathe. Although the fur on the surface will not affect the surface of the sleeve is smooth and smooth. After the sleeve surface is processed to a certain degree, the sleeve of the sleeve cannot be replaced. In order to match the home feeling, the master needs to weld the scrapped half shaft and the sleeve. The two can completely become a whole. After the master quickly welds the gap, the basic shape of the wrench has appeared. Under the premise that the uneven welding bar affects the appearance, the master needs to fix it on the car window claw plate again. The surface of the 8 is cut flat to ensure that the joint can be more natural, but the wrench at this time is definitely unusable. In order to make the wrench able to tighten the bolt, the extension feeling needs to be processed into a necessary bent rod. However, because the scrapped half shaft is used, the hardness of the material of the half shaft is very high, so the center needs to be heated and returned. The part that needs to be bent softens and reduces the hardness. After heating through the downward pressure of their hydraulic agent, the extension of the wrench is bent to the necessary 90 degrees. Since there are still many show skills on the entire surface, we will also apply anti-rust oil on the entire surface. This will not only improve the appearance, but also cover the surface. The socket wrench made of traditional wool iron chain has been produced. What do you think of the skills of the Pakistani masters?